Hello, 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 hello. I'm
Good
Carl
morning.
Williams, your host of HR Legal Issues and Health, and this is my co-host.
Gloria Ann Searles. Good morning. Praise God.
Yes, uh, normally sitting in here, most of you know by now that my good friend and brother Hassan Aline has made his transition August the 8th of this year, and the reason why I'm saying this is because I run into a couple of people and they told me that they wasn't aware. Well, I knew right away they couldn't have been looking at the program because I try to announce it just about
Each
every
week.
week, but
hmm
maybe they just missed a couple of weeks. But so that's why I'm making people aware because there's some things that we need to bring to the viewing audience, and we're not gonna stop. You know, the Creator have a way of doing things, and we're gonna continue to bring you the news that you need and the information that you need because we seem to be well received, especially Gloria. I get more people asking about her
Really?
than anything else. You know, they want to know about health. Where did she come from? Where did she come from? She's been around all the time. You just be beginning to be aware of her. She was on the program, me and her son, and that on here 2 or 3 times.
Yes.
But you know, they was fine in between, so you may have missed it. So you know, it's time for the truth to be revealed, and you know, we have to tell it the way we see it.
That's right.
We can't not no longer allow somebody else to talk for us. We must talk for ourselves, and we must look through history through our lens
That's right.
and not the slave master lens and the information that they had gave us. Although some of that information that they gave us is all right, but you have to decipher.
That's right.
Just like some preachers who knows the scriptures, where they have to decipher to get a clear understanding of what the message really is.
That's right.
So that's what we try to do here. We try to decipher, you know, all these propaganda and lies that we have been told and still been told, still
That's
are
right.
telling, and they still trying to tell us what to do.
24/7.
hmm
I lying
Oh,
24/7.
all the time, all the
All
time.
day.
And I'm gonna give you a perfect example of that. Over the last week, they've been talking about the Afro American Museum,
hmm
and it been you know there was a big move about what they're gonna do. And I need to say this: we need to support the Afro American Museum. All of us. It's no need of calling it the Afro American Museum if we're not gonna support it financially and otherwise. And I'm just as guilty as everybody else, but that's gonna stop. That's gonna stop. I'm gonna make sure, cause I'm me myself, I'm gonna get a lifetime membership, and uh, I'm gonna make a concerted effort to take young people in there and explain, because even the story that they tell sometimes need a little editing or a little more to it
hmm
so they get the true understanding, because a lot of this stuff when it was told, uh, the information that we would got from the, I guess you want to call Caucasian in I can't think of the word right now, but it'll come to me. Persuasion
hmm
So, some of it might be just slighted a little bit. So when you take your kids, your friends, or whoever, you might have to be a narrator and add a few things that may have been missing.
That's true.
So I want you to understand something. I got a copy of the board of directors of the Afro American Museum, in which I have heard because we talked about it uh, last week. I was in the meeting and we was talking about it, and I said, "Yeah, well, all the board of directors are corporate." What you say? No, all of them was corporate, and I got it, and it was absolutely right. I don't know how many board of directors. It seemed like it was about almost 20,
Mm.
even more. It was so many. It was the board of directors, and they got a committee, and all of them. They got one that was president or CEO of Ford, one of General Motors, and all these was corporations. Just about all of them corporations. We are not going to allow corporate America to interpret or sanction or tell us how we are going to celebrate and who our heroes are. This is why a lot of people were so upset when they uh, board of directors, from what I've been hearing, information that I've been getting, that they said in February, yeah, I think in February, that they was going to propose or introduce Thomas Jefferson as being a hero of Afro America. See, that shows you nothing has
Nerve.
changed.
Yeah.
This is a slave master still trying to interpret and tell you how to think. Basically, that's what it is. Because Thomas Jefferson, like it or not, love it or not, was a rapist. And he was a pedophile. And if you really want to get down to it, most of your Caucasian president was rapists by the day's terminology of the law. When you forcibly have sex with a woman, that is considered rape. And even though they may not have had a law then, anything that heinous that they have to make a law for it
Hmm. Yeah.
is just as bad now as it was then, even though they didn't have a law to protect us. So I don't look at it the same way. They want you to celebrate somebody who raped you, somebody who was a pedophile, somebody who was no good as far as we concerned. So I don't know. I can't speak for the people, but it was a lot of them. They was appalled by it. So you got some people out here that's awake for whatever reason. They're awake, and they. I went to a meeting. It was pretty full, and I suggested that when January come, we don't just talk about and reject Thomas Jefferson, that we have some black heroes of our own choosing. We don't have to choose from the book that they wrote. Claude Anderson have wrote 4 or 5 books. And I'm telling you, you need to read them. You need to read them. Because I come to find out when I went to the meeting, Michael M. I didn't know that Claude Anderson, I should have known it though, just by the way he talked, uh, was one of his mentors. And I can say he's one of mine because that's why I'm finding a whole lot of truth and discernment in history. the two books, they got the right title. Dirty Little Secrets and More Dirty Little Secrets. And Powernomics. The man is right on point because he clarified and straightened up some of them propagandas and lies that they have told us. And then he given us a program, Powernomics, where we can come together and flourish. I mean, it's just that simple. It's there, but we want to read everything else and do everything else, but something that's gonna uh, clarify and make things better for us.
And our children.
And yeah, and our children and our children's children. You're absolutely right because this book needs to be read not only by black folks, white folks too. Because some of them don't think that all of them, some of them been fooled by them lies just like we have been. They don't know the truth.
Yeah.
Some of them, none. I'm not going to say all of them. The ones that are in control, they kind of know. That's why they want to stay in control. This is why they, the board of directors, by all these corporations, they wanted to, see, we being tested. We don't realize it, but we being tested. They say, well, them black folks, they getting, they pumping their chests out now, and they, you got a few of them out there that don't want to go by what we have written. They want to change things. Now, this is me talking now. This is what I think. I think this is why they said name Thomas Jefferson. They want to see how black folks going to react. Well, now, what you going to do? Well, people, I done heard all kinds of things. We're going to boycott. We're going to do this, which is good. We need to have a nationwide boycott. We need to take this serious because it is serious. But I also got another proposal, and I'm putting it out here because this ain't just for the people who went to the meeting. This is for anybody that's concerned. And if you're black, you should be concerned. If you're not, something wrong with you. So what I'm going to do, I hope to have it ready by tomorrow, I'm putting a petition together. And it's a petition to oppose and object to their proposal of Thomas Jefferson. And I'm going to get the signatures. I don't know how many I'm going to get. I'm not going to put no number on it or nothing. I'm just going to prepare, circulate it, and when I get the petition, get the number of people that want to participate, before I turn it in, I'm going to announce it. And we're going to send it to the board of directors and the committee. And we're going to let them know how we feel and that it is a shame and a crime and an insult for them to even suggest Thomas Jefferson. See, we got to realize one thing. A lot of times they do things, but they don't realize how devastating, how bad it is when they do it. And some of them don't care, and some of them do. But that's why we have to explain to them, because they can't think for us. They don't know how we feel. How can you have a slave or descendant of slave and the descendants of a slave master and they look at things the same way? No. That ain't even rational. So, we must act like we are descendants of slaves and not slaves by thinking outside the box. You don't have to think inside the box.
And we could have a recommendation of who we would rather see on it, because there's quite a few.
Well, see now, that's what I like about this lady. See, that was the second part of what I said. Now I didn't even tell her that I said that, but she said it. I couldn't have said it no better, and that's exactly what I told her. You know, but then they, it take us a long time. Hassan used to say,
Too long.
man, he said, man, they slow. He said, I know we want to help them. We want to tell them the truth. He said, but they slow, man. He said, I said, yeah, but we just have to be patient. I said, it's easier for us because we've been doing it for I don't know how long. So it's just instinct for us.
Yeah.
I said, but them, it's something kind of new. So it take them a little longer to catch on.
Yeah.
It take them a little longer to understand. I said, but we just have to, you just have to just sit back and just baby feed them until they catch up. So it's some things that you need to know what's going on,
Yes.
and nobody gonna tell you this because they can't even see it. They know exactly what they're doing. You have been tested because they're saying that they talking about different people than what we uh, put out there for them to support. So what we need to do, we need to control it.
Yeah.
See, that's what this is all
But,
about.
mm-hmm.
So I got to do my due diligence, do my research, and find out how did they could become a member of the board in the first place. How is this named the Afro American Museum, and you got more corporate people, uh, I guess they call themselves funding it. So what is it? If you got a lot of money, you could be named on the board. I need to find out how that process worked. Because apparently something was wrong with it. Something was wrong with it for you to have that many corporate heads on the board. Something had to be flawed in the process in itself. Or they just hijacked it. So I got to go back and see, was it hijacked or was it flawed? I don't know. But I'm going to find out. And then once I can find out, then we can move on. We're not going to allow that time is over with where they're going to dictate and tell us how to think and what to think and what to do. That's when you know you're free, see. That's when you know you're free. You can say you're free all you want to, but if you can't control your own museum, you ain't free. You're imitating something that is free. I don't want to be imitating anything. I want to be completely free to think and do what I want. Although I am, because I do what I say and think, do what I want anyway, because I understand the process. And that's what we're trying to get you to do here. Understand the process. As always, I got to remind everybody to get a copy of your Michigan Constitution, your state constitution, your city charter, and I got a couple of other books here. This is the Michigan Court Rule Book. Now, the reason why I'm saying the Michigan Court Rule Book, because it got rules in here and statutes of the state of Michigan. They got a section in there for traffic. They got a section in there for landlord tenant. I mean, they got sections in there for different things and different subjects. And see, that's where you find this is your law book. The Constitution, federal and state Constitution, and they got this one here. This is the rules of criminal procedure. But those are the books that you need to be looking at to be able to implement, and carry out your rights.
Yeah. You know, just want to go back one to the museum. I was speaking to a family member in the military last week, and he was mentioning the great benefits of having a museum,
Oh yeah,
financial and otherwise. We don't have many.
you're right about
You look
that.
at all the museums that are around
Hmm.
here in Detroit. So it's very beneficial. We need to find out more about what that entails and why
Hmm.
so many are here in
Yeah.
every state, in the cities, why there's so many museums, because it has a great financial benefit. I wasn't paying much attention as he was talking. Now I regret it because I know the topic was going to come up. I would have really grilled him more about it. But he was trying to explain how more of us need to have the museums or the different estates he was telling me about like in Georgia.
Hmm.
Uh, and I was thinking about it, that is something you could set up, but
Yeah.
it has a lot of benefits, taxes, otherwise, um, as a stance, whatever you're going to promote, it has a lot of meaning of controlling your thought processes and things that you do.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Your history.
Your history.
You know. You see once. Since you said that, when you got a museum and you got, it's just like a book almost,
Hmm.
and you got things in there that's telling the history, but then that's something that you can actually see and pass down to your grandchildren, children, grandchildren, and so forth, and all the people that follow. See, then you don't have to worry about them being tricked and
Hmm.
lied to about what happened in the past.
Yeah.
It is like a diary of your history,
Yeah.
and we so most surely need it, and we must control it. We must control it, and we must not. Now, if they want to make suggestions, okay, we might be open up to suggestions, but we're not
Hmm.
gonna let you make the last decision on who we decide to honor as heroes or not. Because I talk about John Horse, and people look at me so funny. I say John Horse, that's because that was my choice
Hmm.
in opposing Thomas Jefferson. You know, I said, yeah, we can boycott, we can do all these other things, which I'm pretty sure we're gonna do. But you also need an alternative to him.
That's right.
I guess they didn't understand what I said, or it went right over their head, or you know, because his response, I don't know what he was saying, but it didn't make sense to me. Uh, if you opposing
Yeah.
somebody, uh, you should have somebody that you would like to honor.
That's right.
So I named John Horse because John Horse, he was a runaway slave and fought the United States. Now think about that. We talking back in slavery. This man fought the United States Army and the slave masters
Hmm.
for 50 years and never was defeated. Now you don't think that's worth remembering? You don't think that's worth honoring? Never for 50 years. Now we ain't talking about no somebody from the army. We talking about an ex-slave, and you never hear nobody talk about him. That is a secret. So now you know. Now you know why he called it dirty little secret and more dirty little secrets. Now I think he was in the first one, dirty little secrets, and the only way they captured this man, he had a partner. I can't pronounce his name. He was a Indian chief, I believe, and they claimed that they were wanted the truth,
Okay.
but they lying, but. And then they captured his They got him in there thinking that, well, okay, we're going to come to the truth, and they locked him up. And then after he died, then John Horse just rode into the sunset. They never defeated him. He got him and some of the Maroons and the rest of his men, and they just left. And they say he would never be seen anymore. See, now that's the kind of history I like to talk about. See, anything that they don't want to talk about, that's something I want to talk about because I know it's something there that they don't want told or they don't want revealed. See, they had us thinking that we didn't have nobody fighting back. I knew that had to be a lie. There's no way you're going to have people captured and enslaved and you ain't going to have nobody trying to fight back.
Yeah.
That's worthy of talking about. Now, that's just John Horse. Now, I know it's probably some more, but that's the only one that I know of that I, had even thought about. So that's why I, bring that to mind. I'm pretty sure maybe Michael Imhotep, some of them historians may have more that they can tell us. But, like they say, seeking you shall find.
Hmm.
So I thought I would bring that and, lay it out there to you, 'cause that's something you need to know. This phone was lit up,
Yeah,
so
it
I
is.
guess we'll take a few calls. Hello, you on there?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I didn't go to that meeting that you went to, but I bet you it was all old people, and I bet you didn't have one or two young people. When you look at Detroit, starting in the when Coleman Young died in middle '90s, all the groups in Detroit, activist groups, they never came up with a plan to recruit the masses of people of Detroit. So therefore, we never had a mass movement, and we never had a movement that can move from one generation to another. All you seeing is old people now. All the fight that was fought over the years, a couple of decades, is almost through because they're like me. They're old. And the question comes, why don't we have young people? Because I can tell you, most of all the group was 501c, nonprofit. They took money from corporations, and corporation told them not to have a mass movement, to talk about different little things that affect them, like the museum, but not the things that affect the broad masses. And I was told, Carl, in 2014, when they was going to cut off the water, and they said 154,000 in Detroit was threatening the water to be cut off. And so they had three buildings. Had the water building over here on Grand River and Greenfield on the east side, and down there on Randolph. Not Randolph, Randolph. And I was told by Reverend Young David Bullock, and not me, but the whole group was at a meeting, that Reverend Williams called him one morning and asked him what he's doing, and told him that the power structure did not want them out there recruiting those people standing in line. I was the only one was with leaflet trying to recruit, and it shot polices on me because they had brought Detroit to the few little activists. But the activists are called, the reason why you go to those meetings and nothing but old people that can't enforce nothing. They do the same thing they did in the 90s. They either, one or two people, after they leave a meeting, they walk around the building, holler, hee-haw, I ain't going to take it no more, and ain't hurt nobody, economically or politically. When you fighting, you trying to hurt somebody. Ain't never been a fight. So therefore, when you went to that meeting, and you tell me if I'm not lying, wasn't most of them old people and no young people? When you got a situation like that, then you can, a corporation is going to be ahead of everything. They're going to also take our money and control it like they're doing. They're giving forward $104 million welfare tax break. That means less money for the community and more increase in our taxes and other things to pay for getting $104 million.
Now,
And he's going to bring in 2,500 white workers.
Hold on,
He's not going to pay no taxes.
Hold on,
30 years. Huh? Okay.
Hold on. First of all, you haven't been listening to the program. If you have been listening, you would have heard me say that we're going to do something different. Yes, you're right. You're correct. There was a lot of old people there. There was a few young people, not enough to really say anything about, but we are going to do something different. That's what I was talking about.
Call
you
me
can file
and
petitions.
me,
Wait a minute, hold it. You wasn't at the meeting, so you don't know what happened. They are talking about a nationwide boycott.
You can't have a nationwide boycott if you can't have one in Detroit.
How you going to have a nationwide boycott without having one in Detroit? It's going to start in Detroit.
Well, unless you do something new and include the masses, it's going to be like the boycotts for the last 20 years. One or two people talking about a boycott, it ain't real at all.
Well, what are you doing about it? Since you know all this, what are you doing about it?
I'm the one that they've been fighting against. All the activists group was not.
What are you doing about it?
I'm the one.
Now you got all this knowledge. You know what are you doing
not
about
knowledge. I went out in the street, and the masses the actors wouldn't go. I didn't see you on those water board companies when they to organize the people.
What are you talking about?
I didn't see you.
No, you didn't see me because
So
I probably writing something up. That's something you don't do.
Unless you got people.
Tyrone.
So I'm going to hang up and tell me what new you going to do.
If you had been listening, you would know.
But I'm going to listen. I'm going to hang up.
Okay, then. See, that dialogue is good because that's what happened to us. We think we know what's going on, and we get stuck in what's happened in the past 60 years ago. Yes, some of those things that we did back then, we can use. But now you got Twitter, you got all kind of communication devices, so you don't have to physically go out in the street and march. I can take my phone and do a group connection, and I could get to thousands of people just by a touch of a button. So you don't necessarily have to march physically out in the street. So, another thing, petitions. Petitions are powerful. That was one of our rights that we failed to exercise. If you remember when they come in here with the emergency manager, talking about that PA4, how did we get rid of them? With the petition. Got rid of that law. So what did they do? They come back with 436. But what we should have did was got those petitions again. But what they did, they lied to us. They told us, because me and Hassan read it out the Constitution a number of times right here on this show. They told us that the Constitution said that you could not petition, and I know some of y'all remember this, because it has money in it under Article 2, Section 9. And we read it, and it didn't say that. It said that you could not file a petition if it has deficiency of money in the state. That's what it said. It didn't say that you couldn't file a petition because it says money. It was specific. So people stopped filing petitions. But it worked. And that's what we need to get back doing. Because you could see what they say, that it's 3 parts of government, but I always say it's 4. You got the legislatures, you got your courts, which is the judicial branch. You got the courts, judicial branch, the executive branch, and the legislature. And the 4th one is the people. See, they don't want you to know. See, because the people could do all 3 things. They can make laws, they can appeal laws, they can do all this here. So whatever the legislature do, the people can overrule what they say if they are together. Why you think in the Constitution, under Article 2, Section 9, most laws, it only takes 2/3 votes to overturn it. But when the people implement a petition, guess what? It takes 3/4. Do you know how hard it is to get 3/4 of a vote in Congress? That's not very easy. So it was made like that, so when the people made a law or repealed the law, it is almost impossible to overturn it. See, that's what we got to understand. We got to understand you can use the same thing that you've been using in the past, but you got to change it. And it is being changed. I could see it. You know, the people was a little different. They didn't know exactly what to do. And like I say, they slow coming around. But like I said, since Tyrone didn't hear it, I'm going to say this to him. So he will be on board. Or at least he'll understand what the strategy is. The strategy is we're going to make a petition, and we're going to sign it, and we're going to present it to the board and the committee. Now, what we have to do after that, I'm just keeping that to myself. That depends on how they react, and which I'm pretty sure it's going to be successful because they're not expecting us to do anything. See, they thinking just like Tyrone thinking. They don't believe we're going to do anything. Because if they thought we were going to do anything, they never would have did what they did. They never would even mention Jefferson's name. But we got a plan, and we won't know if it works or not until we do it. So that's one of the plans. All right, we're going to take a few more callers. Caller, you on the air?
Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Now, you know, people know sensitive people are to relate to slavery. In other words, they ain't got no business any European who were celebrated during the time of slavery because of the black people, and they're doing it on purpose. You're not going to get any corporation who's going to put up with the Black History Museum, who talked about black history before America became America. That's why it's called the American Museum, because we're not to talk about anything about black people and all of that different things they did prior to coming in contact with.
You kind of breaking
if
up.
you start doing it, the funds off. They're only going to support history when it only relates to America.
You kind
Is
of
what I'm
breaking
saying.
up, caller. You too close to the mic or something.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Carl.
Oh, go ahead now. Now I can hear you better.
Okay, the only thing I was saying is you're not going to get corporations continue to donate money to Black Museum if you're going to talk about history before America became America. So when you start talking about who you're going to donate to recognize as a hero, I agree with you. Why should we recognize these people who was involved? We shouldn't have to recognize anybody who had anything to do with slavery. They know that's a sensitive issue with Black people. So why, like you said, why should we, even Columbus come here and kill all his people, take this land? Why should we be celebrating Columbus Day? And most Black people don't know there were Black people who were here when Columbus came here.
That's right.
No other type of people was here but Black people when Columbus got here. And he stated it in his letter when the Queen inquired as to what the inhabitants of America look like. Go back and look at his letters. And his father went with him on his third trip, and his father wrote the same thing. There were no other people here. Well, this land, America, was actually taken from Black people in 1492. The red man is the result of the race of the inhabitants of the land. That's who the red man is. He said, I'm not trying to give you a history lesson, but what I am saying is I'm agreeing with you. If we're going to talk about Black history, talk about Menelek. You understand? Who ran the Mussolini's out. Or talk about Hannibal, who ran the Romans out. These are my heroes. I ain't got no heroes here in America. You see what I'm saying? My heroes is prior to America. And you're right about what you were saying about Claude Anderson. Claude Anderson said we only own 1.1% of the wealth in America at the end of slavery. And it's the same today. We're dealing with corporations. You know what that means? We have to become a corporation because they're only going to deal with us on that level. Now, all these other things we fighting for and putting the law in, they have ignored that. I mean, John Conyers is evidence of that. Claude Anderson is evidence of that. He's trying to get them to here to the 1866 freeway. Have they done it? Now, how long have they been fighting? How long has John Conyers been fighting for reparations? They are going to continue to ignore us. This is not a story. This is a fact. And every time we throw the law up in their face and say, hey, man, look here, man, you broke the law. We said no emergency medicine. You brought one in here anyway. That right there is evident. That your vote don't mean a hoot.
Yes,
So we have to
no,
approach this thing
I have to
different. We have to
disagree with
become
you on
what
that.
they are, a corporation to deal with them.
I have to disagree with you on that. See, the thing that you failing to understand is that we are becoming awakening. I have been explaining the law on this program where we will look at it differently than what we have in the past. So that is going to make the difference. The reason why we didn't get reparations is not because they ignored us. We didn't know the process. Everybody that has got reparation or got some benefit for this country was what? A nation. And we were not a nation. That's why.
Well,
We
what
never-
better way
we
to
never
do that,
recognized
Carl, than to
Africa.
become a nation?
So I didn't
What
hear you.
better way to do that than become one?
That's what I'm trying to tell you now. See, it's a way of doing it. And if we had did that, then they wouldn't have no choice. But you know, it's
That's
that was
what I just said, Carl. We have to become like them. We have to
Okay, I
become a
agree with you.
corporation. When I say corporation, we're going to have to make a monetary contribution to what we're trying to do. It's not going to get done by going to their courts where they take the law, and when the law benefits, they turn around and change the law like they did with the emergency management.
well,
We should learn from that lesson right there. There's one lesson. We don't need any more lessons, but that one alone. You understand that when we voted something out and he brought it back forth anyway, that's not going to work for us.
you don't
We
work
have
for
to
us.
become
I'm gonna
what
say
they
it
are
again.
to deal with them. That's all I'm
Say
saying.
it again. You're missing the point. And I'm gonna say it again. I want you to listen. We do not understand the law, because if we truly understand the law, we could have got rid of that emergency manager law. Didn't you hear me explain what they did when we was doing with those petitions? So we couldn't file a petition, because if we had to file a petition, we could have got rid of that emergency manager law. But the reason why we couldn't, because they had lied to us about what the law was. But when you get the truth about the law, then you can make it work for yourself. But when you have been misinformed and you trying to use that same law and you were misinformed, that's why it didn't work.
I'm not challenging that, Carl. But how long ago was that? When was the law ignored? When did they bring in 436 back?
Emergency.
What year was that?
That hadn't been too long ago. Maybe about what?
Okay, how long ago?
I can't tell you exactly. I ain't gonna sit up here and try to lie to you about it. But you could look
No,
it
no,
up.
no, no. I'm not asking you loud. I'm just wanted to make a point. This thing is about 4 years old.
Yeah.
Once you saw that he brought this thing in play anyway, after it was voted out, that's when you knew that you should have used another strategy. Yeah, you're correct. Maybe we didn't do something right. But we're talking about 4 years that was lost. 4 years that we could have been a corporation and dealt with this from another direction. I'm not saying not deal with it by the law. I'm not saying don't challenge them by the law.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, while that's going on, we should have been getting ourselves together financially. We would need to be in a better position today instead of keep kicking the can down the road with this law that they broke and us not knowing the law. They're going to keep on putting little roadblocks in there to keep us where we are. But if we become what they are, they're dealing with us on a corporate level. You said it yourself. This corporation is doing the damage to us. The only way we can deal with these people is to become like them. All the other nationalities are doing it. That's how they're able to sustain themselves. You got the Jews doing their thing, the Arabs doing their thing, the Mexicans doing their thing. These people have come together, put money together, and form associations to deal with these very problems me and you are dealing with. If we had the financial backing from every black person in the city, we wouldn't have no problem getting the people on the city council who we want, or the people we want to be mayor, or nothing else. But when you ain't got no roof, which is the capitalistic attitude these people got out here, you can't resolve none of the issues. Is all I'm saying, man. We need to get our loot together, put our money out there. This $1 trillion spending power everybody's bragging about we got. Use some of that. But thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for making it here. But, things are not as bad as you really think they are. They are bad because you can't see a way of how to use this law to overturn a lot of things that they have done. But, yes, we have to come together, like Claude Anderson said, as a co-op. Put our money together and do what they do. Buy our politicians. Buy our judges. It's not hard, but it's just getting everybody on the same page. I understand what you said, brother, and you're absolutely correct. But, when we say things, we got to understand. It ain't about them. They're never going to cooperate. You have to force them to cooperate by what you do. And don't think that this is impossible, because it's not, because I did it myself. By myself. So I know if I could do it by myself, if I multiply that by 1,000 of people, they can't stop you. They couldn't stop me. Now what are they going to do with thousands and thousands and thousands of people like me? They can't, it's nothing that they can do. But you can't see that because you wasn't standing up there in court when I was fighting for the ticket. Y'all wasn't standing in court when I was talking about this water. So it is a way. It is a way. And we didn't have it before, but we got it now. So moving forward, the mistakes that we have made in the past or why we fail, we won't fail now. But like you say, and that's very important, we have to come together with our money, with our finance, because you got to be real now. This is a capitalistic country. So you ain't going to be successful unless you got capital. So we just have to put our little pennies and dimes together. You don't need billions and billions of dollars when you got the right substance. If you got the right substance, you will need less, not more. And that's what we got to do.
And you got to be of the same mind.
The mindset.
You need the money, but you don't need people coming in, well, this ain't going to work. Well, you know,
Yeah, that negativity.
coming up with that negativity. It's going to be hard. You know, they don't like us, of course. You know, that ain't what you're there for. You're there to unite so that you're on the same page with the monies and with the thinking. So once you get somebody's mind off or fearful, then you can just about do anything to them. So they got to know that works, and this is the way you're going to do it. You know?
That's absolutely right.
Boycott, support your own. All these other causes we run and give money to ain't got nothing to do with us. And they lying about that.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
I want to start with St. Jude for one, but you need to see how long they've been there doing what they've been doing.
And haven't really benefited us.
Or the people that went in there. The people give and just all kind of events, all kinds of stuff. But something that would benefit them and their children so they know that we are people that are able. We can do things. We were created with abilities. So supporting your own. Putting the money there, put your money where your mouth is.
That's right. That's right. Oh, this room. It's the fastest showing. Yeah. It's got 2 minutes left. And, I guess I got the chance for one more call. Hello, you on the air. Make it quick.
Good morning.
Run it down on time.
Yes, it's important that we must keep control of our museum. As I've been shared before, Dr. Wright was my doctor back in the 60s, and he was sincere about moving us forward when he creates a museum. So we cannot allow anyone else to come in and take control of the agenda. Number two, I had an experience in the local supermarket where a young man, probably half the age of my grandchildren, was offended because as I put my groceries on the conveyor belt, I asked him to wait until I had all my items up there. And I had about 20 items. And he was insulted and walked away. And then came back when he decided to come back. When he came back, I said, would you price check these 2 items, 2 of the same items, and I was going to make a decision. He said to me, I can't price check it. At that point, I went over to the office and I said, would you get another cashier to wait on me, please? Or have someone move my grocery to another. And so that's what they did. He brought the owner brought the manager. But it's sad. Our young people need to know our history. They need to know of the truth. And I said after the manager was brought, he had to add 2 insults what the other employee had done to me. I guess to stay in good grace with the employees. So our young people do not know our history. They do not know our struggle. They do not know what we have gone through. And I'm as guilty as the rest of us at this stage in my life that I didn't share the things that I was going through when I was going through them employed for over 34 years. So we must keep our museum, and it must be our story, not his story. And thank you for taking my call, Carl.
Thanks
Good
for
show.
doing it here. Well, we're down on time, and till next week, I guess we have to continue because it was a pretty hot topic, and I had a lot more to say, and I'm pretty sure Gloria got a lot to say too. So till next week, uh, same time, same station. This is HR Legal Issues and Health from 9 to 10 every Tuesday. Until next week.
The Lord bless you all.